Good morning, YouTube. Well, it may be morning. It's morning here. Really quick, gotta make sure my mouth and thing is matching up. I've been having some technical difficulties lately with my mic, so, and of course that's gonna play over. Well, I'll just leave it off. I just hope that my mouth and my audio are matching up here. I'll probably test it a little bit. Set. And I'm sure this is probably coming over the live stream, but maybe I can mute that. There we go. All right, ready for some inception here, right? I think I can set this to high def. Boom. And of course it's not playing anymore. Okay, cool. Looks like my voice, everything's on. Sorry. You'd think that I'd get through these technical difficulties. You might notice today, no more red cap, no more super epic long hair. If you followed my stream up to this point, which you may or may not have, I haven't really been paying attention too much to. Since I'm so new, I don't have a lot of followers. It kind of tripped me up the other day. I had 5 people on. I was like, there's people watching me. What if I screw? So I just decided I just won't have YouTube up to watch it. I'm just gonna stream and well, no, you know what? I should, just in case there is somebody on and has questions, I can answer them. But so I'd also wonder why it's early in the morning and I'm on, and it's not on a weekend. I haven't quit my job or anything like that. I actually have a wisdom tooth coming out at 10 o'clock. It's about 8:30 morning right now, and I have a wisdom tooth coming out at 10:15, so yay. I am not looking forward to that, but I guess it needs to be done, so what are you going to do, right? So one of the things I was thinking about doing today was to do a Parallax background kind of thing in game development, and I might do that. But before I do that, what I was thinking is, so last stream, I created this image where I had it up here, and it kind of just talked a little bit about what I was actually going to be doing, which I thought was pretty cool because then it creates kind of like a title icon for when you start YouTube up. Well, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to do the Parallax thing. I just realized that I can just take a picture and then add in. Well, anyways, what I was thinking of, you know what? Never mind. What I was thinking of doing is just creating a simple little quick Electron app that's just a window or a frameless thing that goes up here. I can just go enter in the thing. It will show up a title, and then I can remove it at the end. So it's just a super simple application. What should I do? You know what? Parallax sounds a little bit more fun. I might work on that at a later date, the other thing I was talking about. But so I got about an hour here. So you might have watched this as part of a series, but I have a side project thing with a friend called it's codenamed Cloverfire. I don't think we actually have a name for it yet. And we don't have a lot of direction on it. We've got some ideas floating around, but it's kind of like a space-based type thing. So I'm putting some key elements for like a twin-stick shooter, space-based game. Whoa, hello, big Visual Studio in there. And up to this point, I'm going to go ahead and plug in my game controller quick. I think I've got the basic twin stick mechanics set. I'm gonna go ahead and plug my Xbox controller in here if I can find it. Boop. See, I have an Xbox One. controller. I do have an Xbox One downstairs, and I intend to try the UWP thing on there. It's actually almost 90% of the reason why I bought it, is that I wanted to be able to eventually try to develop UWP apps for it. It's funny because really UWP on Xbox is really no different, other than you have minimal resources, I guess, right now, than what you have on Windows. Like, I could build a game, put it out on the Windows Store, can have controller support and everything like that. But there's something just really cool about going actually on the console. I mean, I did the Xbox Live Indie Games thing. I created a crappy game there and everything. Yeah, and that it's just different being able to put it on a console. There's something just cool about it. I mean, you can build Windows games or dime a dozen, but it's Xbox, right? It's pretty cool. But anyways, so I might eventually try to stream that whole process. We'll see. But let's see where I was at last time. So I start this up. You can see I have a ship flying around. I have these little things. I had some minor collision detection. You see that asteroid got destroyed. Obviously, there isn't too much to it. One thing that's kind of annoying is that once I go to 0, it does set it back to start there. So I don't know if it's rotating around the correct point either, to be honest. Feels wrong, like it's rotating around its tail. But anyways, my bullets are kind of lame. But you notice there's no background here. There's no Starfield. It's just a black, expansive space. So that is why we need to build a Starfield, probably. And if you're not familiar with the parallax effect, it's a common thing in game development. You might not even notice it's there, but if you play a game that doesn't have it, you most notably will know if it's missing it, you'll notice it. And what the parallax effect is, if you're not already familiar with it, is well, let me see if I can just kind of give you the idea here. So let's just say you've got so here's our space, and let me just throw yeah, let's make those bigger. So you got stars like this, you know, and these are kind of like close to you. And then you've got stars that are maybe a little smaller. Those are 20, so let's go like, we'll change the opacity a little bit. So maybe these ones are kind of like farther away. And then you've got something, you know, really far away. Right? Now, if you're kind of going through this star field like this, what you would expect is that stuff at this layer, you know, goes by extremely fast. It goes by, you know, boom, boom, boom. Think about when you're driving a car, right? And you look out the window. And if a tree is right next to the highway, you know, that just zooms by, right? Stuff that's sort of, you know, in the distance, not too far away, but let's say you're looking at a house on the side of the road. Depending on how close it is to the road, it might go by. Oops, no, that's right. It might go by really slow or slower. And stuff that's really far in the distance, which I did my layers wrong here, but goes extremely slow. So basically, distance relative, an object that is relatively close to you goes by fast, and stuff in the distance. Now, if you create a star field and everything within the star field goes by at the same pace, let's just merge these all in so that they, oops, let's not do that. Let's do this. So if you have a star field and everything moves by at the same speed, it looks wrong. And if you haven't looked into it, you probably don't know why it looks wrong, but it looks wrong, right? And that's because stuff that's far away should move slower than what's close to you. And so that's kind of what we're going to do here with the Starfield is we'll create some stars, and as we kind of swim or fly around here or whatever, stuff that's closer to you, brighter, is going to move by fast, and stuff that's farther away is going to move by slow. Now, it's a little tricky with twin sticks, so I'm not gonna make this this isn't like a tutorial. You can follow along with me, but I'm probably gonna be hitting my head against it a little bit. I've done this a few times. It's not completely foreign to me, but and the real trick here too will also be the fact that in my little game engine thing called Cloverfire, or Cold Steel rather, I don't know if I have something to render a bunch of little textures, and I don't know if I want to make every star into a game object, because their game objects are pretty heavyweight for something like that. So I might create a custom renderer. I'm not really sure yet what I'm going to do with that, but we'll see. So we'll just have to start, I guess, hacking it out, right? So I'll just start here. We've got my gameplay stage. Obviously, I'm going to need to set up the Starfield here. And, to be honest, I guess making every star a game object makes sense, right? Because if it does become heavyweight, we can optimize later. And that's what you're not supposed to do, right? You're not supposed to optimize things up front until you actually have a problem with them. So we'll just put it in here. Now, one thing I know I'm going to need to do is, by default, I believe I have the default layer that you see here. It does alpha blending, and I want to be able to toggle the opacity by setting the color. And if I do that, alpha blending, it doesn't really recognize that I'm setting the opacity there. I think I'm not exactly sure why, but it doesn't look at the alpha channel and the color. And I watched a video on it. You can probably go out and figure it out, but just know that I have to create a different layer to put this in, which sort of makes sense anyways, because one, I don't want the camera to be to function the same way on those. I want to be able to follow the camera around, know that the camera is moving around, and I want the stars to move as a function of that. But I don't necessarily want, because of screen limitations, I don't want it to function the same way. So there are going to be some subtleties to this. But so first, I guess let's do this. We'll go add layer, and we'll call it the Starfield layer. Now, if you're doing a Starfield like I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is stuff that's far away is going to have a low opacity, and stuff that's closer is going to be more opaque. And I might do some things with scaling and stuff to make it look pretty later. But for now, that's how I'm going to create the layering. In some times when you're trying to create a parallax thing, let's see if you have the background to like Nintendo, like Mario 3 or something. I think that's a parallax. Stuff that's far away might be but they're still big objects, would be in kind of like its own layer, and then stuff in the middle frame would be in its own layer, and stuff closer would be in a layer. Unity, I think if you watch tutorials on Unity, that's how they suggest to do it, but for my Starfield, I'm going to do that. And the order will be just behind the main one, which is -1. So that's my Starfield layer. Now, just to get stuff out there, what I'm going to do is just throw game objects onto, we'll just do like 100 of them, right? My typing seems to be off lately. Add game object. Now, I need it to be, oops, random. Let me scroll in a little bit so you can see it better. And we need a new, actually, oh, why do I keep doing that? I keep launching League of Legends for some reason. I haven't played it in a while, in a few months now, but, and I want the X to be between 0 and I think I'm doing 1280 for the width at this point, which I know it's hard-coded in there. This is not production code. This is, you know, playing around code. So now I will do get layer and we call it Starfield. Alternatively, I think I could have just grabbed the Starfield layer here. Which I'll do that. Save the... Okay. And I'm going to assume that at some point in time I'm going to add a star here. Actually, I'm going to just use our bullet for now. Just because I already have it pulled in. And I can switch it out later, but just to get, you know, something on the screen anyways. Okay, now if I've done that correct, you should see just a bunch of white stuff. So you see I put it from 0, and this is why I wanted to create this layer, because the camera is put now at 0, 0. But I want to think about stars from being up in the corner, up, let me see, if you're looking at my camera, up here, going down this way, right? So, like that. So you see the stars there. Now, this is non-parallax. So you see how it looks, it just looks incorrect to be non-parallax. If you didn't know the word for it, you would know that something feels really wrong here, and you probably wouldn't be able to know why, but it's because there's no parallax effect. So one of the first things we'll do here is I'm going to, when I create my camera down here, extract this here, cam.skip layer, and I'm going to say the Starfield layer. So this will tell the camera, you know what, you do not apply to the layer where I've got stars. And as you can see then, now as I fly around, oh, you can't see it because it's hidden behind my face there. As I fly around, the stars stay static, but obviously that they should be moving, and that looks all wrong. You can see spatially I am moving because that asteroid's spinning, but yeah, it's hokey, right? It doesn't look right still, but it did what I wanted it to do. Oh, excuse me. So now what we need to do is provide some sort of idea of depth to it. Now I think there's a couple ways you can do this. I'm just going to do it based off the alpha, the color of it, the opacity of it. So something that's farther away just won't be as bright on the screen. And sometimes too I like to add a little bit of color to it, but on my sprite render up here where I'm creating this star, oh, hello, did that wrong. I'm going to go color equals new, and we'll just set it to white for now. And then we will go the alpha, which will be ran.next double, which should give us between 0 and 1. Okay. Now, you shouldn't see any change with the opacity of them because of the way that the sprite renderer is rendering this stuff, or the layer actually, I should say. It's using, the sprite batch behind the scenes is using pre-multiplied alphas or alpha blending. And so, you know, it doesn't look right. What I need to do is make it non-pre-multiplied alphas, which will then allow this to work. So Starfield layer dot, let me see, it's called blend state, and I think it's dot non-premultiplied. And I'm not sure if there's a way to get around that and make it better, but you can see now, hopefully, maybe not, I don't know if through YouTube or not, but stars that are generated, you know, this one here is clearly not as bright as the one above it here. So you get some opacity difference, which adds that depth to it. Now, another way to do this is to add scale, which I don't know if I really want to do. I don't even know if I have scale wired in yet or not. But yeah. But now we need to make them move based on the camera position, right? So I'm going to move... Oh, I'm going to actually generate this layer below where I've got the camera. And I need to add behavior to the star field, to each of the stars. I will add the layer up top though, because that's dependent on the cam. Okay. Oh, how am I going to do this now? Well, we'll just go and we'll hack it out, right? That's what you do. You gotta just play with it. Okay, so I'll create a star behavior. Okay, and we're going to probably have to give now, again, there's probably better ways to do this, but you know, hey, optimize later, right? Okay, so we've got the camera, which isn't what we want. The camera is a component. We want to know this game object here, because we're going to need to know its position within space. Oh. And the camera, I suppose technically I can get to it from there, but yeah, this is really what we want. Okay. So this isn't a camera, it's a game object that just happens to have a camera on it. Okay. That's my French bulldog back there, sounding the alarm for no reason, probably. What's wrong, Riley? What's wrong? I don't know what's wrong. Anyways, his name's Riley. Okay, so we got the camera here. Now, as the camera moves, we need to move the stars in relation to it. As you've kind of noticed. Come on, play. Oh, I got to... That was dumb of me. I bet you saw that and was like, no, hey, no, you're doing it wrong. And I was like, huh? And I didn't even notice it. Which is why pair programming makes sense, right? Mob programming, anything like that. And then I put it in the wrong down here. Cam object, there. That's what I wanted. Okay. Now where was I getting at? So when I move the ship this way, excuse me, left and right, I need those stars to move along with it, right? And as a function of their alpha channel. So stuff with a lower alpha value will move by slow, will move just a little bit. Stuff with a high alpha will move a lot. So as I'm moving this way, I would want the stars to move. So if I'm moving, right, I want them to move left. So x minus if I'm moving this way. So we'll just play with that a little bit. So we've got a star behavior and update. Now, the camera at some point in time is going to update. I want to know its current position relative to its previous position. So and this camera. Okay. So updating its position there. Now I need to say, okay, if the camera is now moved over, I need to move invert it to that x. So let's just do the x position first. So, well, I guess first we can probably just say, let's just have it move an equidistance. So transform dot plus equals its current position minus its previous position. I think that would do it. No, transform dot position. And why did that? I typed that all wrong. Actually, it's backwards from the way I'd want, so I'd want to subtract it, at least for the x, to make that look correct. You can't see it, but you see it's moving the same direction I'm going, which means it's all hosed up. I want it to move inverted. Which now, it looks like I'm flying around correctly. At least the Starfield's moving again. Oh, I gotta remember to put it up here. I better fix that at some point. We don't have our parallax effect yet. And once we reach the edge, it goes off the screen. So we need to add some wrapping in there, right? But the idea is there. I mean, stuff is working correctly. So now we need to make this as a function of the alpha channel. So I think I could just do this times get component sprite. Actually, you know what? I will just no, you know what? I can always just optimize that later. Get times get component sprite renderer. I could also pass in the alpha here, which would probably be the better way to look this up. Although if it changed, no, it's not going to change. So this is just a temporary thing. Oh, actually, I might even have the alpha already figured out here. And I assume that goes to the color. And if that's, no, it's a byte, so... Oh, no, you know what? I'll just do alpha... which will give me the percentage. And you can see, once I show it to you, that essentially the parallax effect is now functioning. So you see, if you keep an eye on like this star here versus this star here, they move at different paces across my screen. So that is the parallax effect. And it's awesome because it makes things look so much better. Obviously, stars, it provides this depth that you otherwise don't get. Now, all I have to do is provide some wrapping here, so that things come around when they go off screen, and then we can kind of tweak it a little bit. But hey, yay, we've got parallax, right? Okay, so just to wrap it, again, I'm just going to hard code knowing the bounds of the screen. This isn't what you'd want to do in any production type thing, but hey, that'll come when you polish things off and make it better in the future, right? So what we go is, there's probably a better way to do this, but if this .transform.position.x is less than 0, then we just would add on, oops, this transform.position.x, or actually just position plus vector 2, and we want to add the width, which is 1280. Now, if it's greater than 1280, greater than or equal to, then we're going to want to subtract that off. I should say plus equals. And essentially the same thing for the y, although it's 720. Of course, like I said, you're coupling yourself here to the screen resolution, which was fine on Xbox 360, on Xbox Live Indie games, because you would set it and it would handle all the scaling and stuff for you, which was nice. Because once you get into its screen resolution independence and stuff like that, it's a tough cookie to crack, and I do not like it. So, these have got to be in the other category, other column too. They've got to be the Y. It's a tough cookie to crack, like I said. So let's see what we got. Now, if everything's been done correctly, you can see we've got an infinite parallax Starfield to fly around in now. Woohoo! Of course, it doesn't come over very nicely on YouTube, I'm sure. But yeah, now you see I'm using the same texture as my bullets, so that's less than ideal, but those bullets probably wanted to be changed anyways. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. So I can just fly infinitely here and stuff in the distance. Yeah, beautiful. I could just do this all day. Now, one of the things I like to do with this is, if you just use white, just straight white, it doesn't provide as much variance in the way things look. So I'm going to actually adjust the color when I'm creating the stars here. To just be all random. Okay. We'll see how that looks. Yeah, because colors, these things burn at different temperatures and things. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting here is, see how that asteroid would be kind of in the foreplane, and the stars are moving at the same speed? It doesn't provide the same depth that you would expect to see, because why would that star move at the same, because it's clearly farther away than what this asteroid should be, otherwise it'd be a big star, right? So what we might need to do is adjust it so that we're not going quite up to 1.0 here, so that it's always moving a bit slower. Yeah. Yeah. And what's the best way to do that? Would probably be not to use a double. Instead, use a range. So really, we don't want our colors to be completely black either. So we'd start this at maybe like 50 and go up to like 255 for our coloring. And then with our alpha, we're going to set it at a distance. Now I could also augment it so that every star has a, like, augment the actual multiplication of, like I said, there's a billion ways to do this probably. But let's just try this once. Whoa, that was wrong. Oh, it's because I'm still making them floats and it all thinks it's one. What I want these to be then is bytes. Okay, so now there's probably less variance within stars themselves, but you can see that the asteroid clearly moves faster. So we've taken away the idea that a star could be as close to you and move at the same speed as, you know, something that's actually in the foreground layer. So this is looking pretty good. Pretty good. Now really I should be able to make this go all the way down to like a 10 here. And maybe we want them all to be brighter, so we don't want them to be so dark. Because black on black, the opacity, it'll basically make things look less bright than they should be just because of their color shift. Yeah, I don't know. Could probably play with something like this all day. And I'm not sure that's coming across well on YouTube. Maybe. I guess I could just kind of make it bigger. But yeah, so this is a nice, pretty Starfield parallax effect. Cool. And look, my bullets actually fly now, and you can kind of distinguish them. The other thing is, you know, is space really, should it really be that black? Just straight black. I don't really like that myself all that much. I like to give it a little bit of color. Probably like a, you know what, like a, and then just a little bit more blue. It's kind of like a deep purple. This is kind of the coloring scheme that I used for one of my games, Adrift. So you get a nice little, so it's not so dark, right? Now, one of the things that I really should try to figure out how to do, and I haven't really cracked this nut yet because I haven't looked into it too hard, is adding kind of that space fog, like a texture that you see, like a fog type texture that comes in the back here. You know what I'm talking about, where you've got kind of like a cluster of galaxy. If you just Google like space scenes on the internet, let me bring this up. You've got like down here, you've got these fractal clouds. Yeah, space clouds. I don't know what you would call them. Like here, you see how this is kind of, there's like this fog around it. This kind of stuff is something I haven't figured out how to add into this kind of game yet. If I create like a sprite to do it, it doesn't seem to, like, when I move it around, it doesn't seem to blend right. Maybe I've got to play with blend states. The problem is it ends up being like an object. Maybe if I just put a fixed, build like a giant fractal cloud and throw it in here and just make it fixed and then put its opacity way down, it'll be there. But then you don't get the parallax movement with it. So, you know, I'm really not sure how to do with that. If anybody's got any opinions on how to do that, I should probably just go and ask around. But yeah, so this is kind of fun. Another thing we could do here too is play with scale. I don't know if I ever wired in scale. Let's go ahead and just try it once. Now scale, I think I would have put at the transform layer, not on the sprite renderer. Nope. I don't know if I even added a dot set scale, which I haven't. So well, let's add set scale quick to cold steel. Because why not, right? Still have about half an hour here before I have to start prepping for the dentist. Like I said, if you listened to my stream earlier, I've got a wisdom tooth coming out today. Up here, just one of them. Depending on how groggy I am and things afterwards, I might just play some Call of Duty this afternoon, just for fun. Anyways, let's see here. Come on. Think for a little bit harder there. I think I might have some crap I was changing, but probably not anything serious. Yeah, I was playing with the idea of making an editor. I'm just gonna undo all of those changes. I think. Wait a minute. Changes. Oh, they changed this a little bit. Wait a minute, what? Stage, no. I want to undo all of this. Actually, I suppose I can just delete all of it because it's not added, so. Sure you want to delete, yeah. I don't really need that. And I don't know if I really need this new spec file either, but. Yeah, they must have changed with update 2. They must have changed some stuff in Visual Studio. Oh, that's interesting. Anyways, just make sure I have latest here. I don't think anybody else is committed to it other than me, but you know, I never even checked. I wonder if my mic has got good volume on it. Bring it closer, maybe. Anyways, so now I need to set the scale on the game object, which is being done through right here. Oh, here's my set rotation, here's set position. Just copy that over, set scale. Now, like I said, I'm not sure I've even wired this in correctly yet, so. Okay. We'll just make it twice the size so we can verify whether or not it's even wired in. And it is, you can see. The stars are much bigger here. Kind of gives like a nice little, unfortunately they're all the same size, so it's kind of weird, but it gives that kind of, I don't know, this kind of friendly feeling like that movie Inside Out, the coloring and stuff. Of course, they're too big. So, but we can do this. We can set scale, rand.next. Actually, we'll just do next double, and we'll set that to a float. See what we get. Now, presumably, we'd want to set the scale equal to the same. Now that made them, you know, fairly small here. We'd want to probably use the same scaling as we do for the alpha here. So let's just do this. Well, if we can. No, we can. I just gotta make that a function of. Just make this like distance. So scale to distance divided by 200, where that would be 1. And creating a semicolon. So now stuff that's farther away is not only, you know, it's smaller as well as being, you know, not as shiny, I guess. I don't know, it just doesn't feel like there's enough variance there, but it's probably okay. I should probably make it so that you can go bigger. Let's see what that does. Oh, that was not right. I want this to be down. So now it goes up to 2. Yeah, I don't know. Make it divided by like 1.6. That's not looking too bad. Now what I could do here is, like I said, to optimize things, because right here I'm creating, you know, 100 objects. If I want to go bigger, here's, you know, here's 1,000. You know, essentially at some point in time, it's pretty heavy to create objects, 1,000 objects to just handle the drawing and positioning of these stars. Each one individually being updated, each one tracking camera position. You know, it gets to be pretty crazy. So what I could do is create a single game object that represents the star field. Create a structure of just a bunch of the stars. So just have them in a list. And then I create a custom renderer that would go through that list and oops, repositioning here, would probably like I said, would probably, you know, cut down some of that that heavy weightedness of it. Should probably be the way to go if I've given myself proper access to things with creating custom render, which I could also just build into a Starfield render into the engine itself, because why not? Just give you this, you don't have to play with it then, you can just say, hey, I want to make a Starfield render, and it would make it, right? But, let's see here, I got about 20 minutes. Well, let's try it, why not? I'm going to undo that 1,000 stars, and we'll leave the, actually I might just increase the scale just a little bit more. And I'm going to commit this quick, so Starfield. All right, cool. All right, so what was I saying now? I'm starting to hear a little static in my mic. I hope it doesn't bleep out here like it's been doing the last few times I've streamed. I hope I fixed it. I'll have to watch this when I'm all done and figure that out. But all right, so I want to create a custom renderer from my engine, which I've never tried doing this with this particular instantiation of Cold Steel here. So, oh, you know what? This needs to be updated too, or committed. Added. Really? This is weird. What did I change in this? Oh, it cleaned it up for me. Maybe. Project.j. I know there's been a lot of stuff on Twitter recently about that. This I really don't need. Yeah, this is confusing me because, like I said, I'm actually I'm a little bit more used to using TFS, and I've kind of gotten okay with Git, not on the command line yet, but certainly something I need to work on here. But added scale. I should probably go watch some videos and get better at Git because I know there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. Yeah, so I think I just want to commit all and sync. And I wrote add with 2 Ds, but or 3 Ds, but whatever. Okay, so like I said, I would need to create a custom renderer here, which a render is just gets a layer, and that's it. Now, really what I need to do is a custom sprite renderer, because I need all of this kind of stuff here, or I need to be able to set all of this kind of stuff here. What I could do is create a render that is a composite of this, has a sprite render within it, and what I would do is the texture would stay the same, all of that, but the transform would be wrong. Never mind. Unless I provide a way to offset on this. Oh, let's see. No, the layer's actually doing the draw. So maybe I'm fine. Maybe I don't really need this. Well, I need to... Yeah, I just have a render on that. So I can pass all that stuff in here. So I can create a custom render. That's no problem. Let's try it. So we'll just create a new folder here. Components. I haven't actually done this yet, but add new. Starfield renderer, which is going to be a renderer. Okay, gets that. Probably want how many stars there will be and the texture to use for it. So star count, and then what did I say? The texture. So it's more consistent with the way I've got it with my deal here. I probably also need to give it the screen bounds at some point in time, but since I control it here, I can just hard code that like I was doing before. Oh, derp. Okay. So this I would go var starfield equals new starfield, or new game object, or actually add game object. Maybe I don't even need to get it back. Add component, new Starfield. So this bypasses even my update too, which means I have to update during the draw, which should be fine because this is literally just shifting. I don't think that'll be too big of a deal. I think I called it. Of course, I could create a behavior that this gets that keeps track of that, or I could give it the Well, I don't know if I'm even explaining my dilemma here very well, but okay, let's just build it. Default layer, we want the bullet, and we're going to say 100. Okay. So we'll create the stars in here. But instead of being game objects, we'll have just a... And really what we need is its position. I think anyways. And color. Right, that's it. Oh, scale probably. And in here we need private list. Actually, we can just make it an array. We don't really need a list. I think I can do that, right? Yep. Position equals what do I need here? It's scale. Color is probably more important. Okay, so that's those things. Missing an equal sign. Oh, I'm out of coffee. I should get my own My Life for the Code mug. But you can see today I'm using Developer on Fire Mug. Great podcast if you haven't listened to it. I am on it, episode 28, I think. Let's see here. So now I need to add rendering capabilities here. Oh, I need to store the texture, I suppose, too. Private texture 2D texture. Okay, so now to start, I'm not going to be updating the positions yet. This is just rendering. So let's go. For I should have layer.draw or render and texture stars at I dot position null stars at I dot color rotation 0f vector origin. It doesn't really matter. Let's go 0 or vector 2.0. Scale stars at I dot scale. Sprite effects none. And layer depth 1f. Or actually, I can't remember. I think 0 is the foreground. So if I've done this correct, I should just get a star without any parallax, a Starfield without any parallax, like I originally had. Whoa. That's weird. Huh. Why is that happening? I wonder if I'm culling. I'm not culling, am I? I might be. Interesting. I suppose because once I go outside over here, I'm actually going out of bounds. And so I'm probably not drawing those sprites because there's no reason to render it. So really I need to make sure that the position is fixed. And how do I do that? Or if I have to say no culling and it just always draws. So yeah, that's tricky. I didn't think about that. Let's see here. I've got to be done here in a minute or two. I have to brush my teeth and get cleaned up and stuff. How am I going to solve that problem? Well, one of the things I could do is always reposition the Starfield so it's on the screen. I don't even remember how I'm doing the culling. I think I'd take a look at the layer and... How am I doing that? It's been a while since I've looked at how it does that. And the problem is I hacked that into, when I was doing the Ludum Dare, I hacked it into my engine, and I didn't put a lot of thought into how it should be done, which is unfortunate because now I've got to deal with it. And I really need to go back and clean some of this stuff up. Because I know on pre-update I go and grab everything, and in render I'm only using these active game objects, and active game objects gets filled based on if the item was in with the bounds of the layer. So it's got its renderer, it knows where its bounds are. should always contain it, you would think. Because it's not transforming it. How's the bounds being determined, I wonder? Yeah, it's probably going off of default bounds, which is the screen. Minus 100 plus 200 for some reason. I decided, again, I did that when I was doing the Ludum Dare because I was trying to optimize some stuff and I didn't put a lot of thought into it. So I might need to clean this up before this will work well, but I think if I set bounds on the layer, it shouldn't have a problem because then it'll know I'm never moving. So let's try that once. If I can. Maybe I can't. Maybe that's only something internal. Huh. Well, then how do I deal with that? I could adjust the object based on the position of the Starfield. Set it always to the camera position. That way it's always in view. I'll try that once. Just as a hack around until I can get time to fix that in the engine. Call this sync to cam. Oh, not bullet, not bullet. What am I doing? That should not be that. I wanted to just reuse this one. Okay. Okay, we'll see if that fixes our problem. I think it will. New sync to camera behavior and camera cam object. Now it'll probably, yeah, so that seems to work other than I need to fix the bounds, but this is what I was expecting to happen before. So now it's always within the bounds of the screen and stuff moves around, but there's no culling, which is good because the culling was bad. So culling is just, I think culling is the correct term. Let's just make sure I'm not sounding like an idiot here. Culling. To cull, select large, reduce population of wild animal slaughter. Culling. Removing segregated animal breed stock based on specific criteria. Sprites. Yeah, I think it's culling. I don't know. Basically, once the sprite goes off screen, I don't include it in my render function because I don't need to render it anymore. It's not on. It's not going to be visible. Now, with small quantities of sprites, that's probably no big deal to just let it draw wherever it is. But I suppose the bigger it gets, the less you want to update stuff that's not on the screen. So let's see if I can just get this hacked out before we finish here. So now on a renderer, there is no, I believe there's no way to override an update because they don't get updated. Well, maybe they do. No. I think I might be explicitly not updating renderers. Let me check. Let me verify what gets updated. It'd be stupid if I'm not, because I should just update everything. Components to update. No, I am updating everything. So I should be able to just go override, update, do like I was doing before, pass the Starfield in here, or the camera rather. I always want to do that. Camera. Now I wonder if I'm going to be shooting myself in the foot here, because the camera's moving, the like parent, the object that is moving, but I'm moving these stars around within it. Yeah, it might be interesting to see what happens there. I might get some bizarro behavior with this, but you know, I should have just stored, which I did. Go to my GitHub. That's still mostly free to myself. Or no, that was on my, never mind, derp. This isn't in GitHub, this is in Visual Studio Online. Oh, so I gotta do like I did before. Private vector2 position or current pre-position per oops. Maybe I'll be able to finish this up here. Then I want to do for I equals 0, I is less than the stars dot length, I plus plus. We go stars dot at I dot position plus equals the previous position, or no, current position minus previous position. I think I ended up having to subtract that off, right? If I can remember correctly. Times the distance, which was the, well, I could use scale now, but the stars at I dot color dot alpha divided by 255. Well, let's see what we get here. I haven't really put a lot of thought into the ramifications here. No, I gotta give the camera here now. Well, definitely not working like I want it to. And in fact, it's also moving very fast. Not at all like I expected it to. There's still kind of a parallax going on, but it's faster than what I expect it to be. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I'm also not doing that. But this was the alpha divided by 255. Minus times divided. Minus times divided. Interesting. And we get back into culling, and yeah, so this is all still wonky. You can see what I was trying to do. I just haven't put enough thought into getting it to actually function correctly. So, now I wonder if I actually took the behavior off the camera and just found a way to disable the removal of it later. Which would normalize a bit more. You know what? Oh, geez. That would be probably a big problem, right? I need to go to the Starfield layer itself. That would be one big issue. Why did I put default layer there? I don't know. Let's see what we got. So, at least the colors and everything are looking correct. But the wrapping isn't working correctly. Because that star should come out the other end here as soon as I've moved a certain distance. Maybe I'm not assigning back in correctly. No, it's just never actually going down to 0. Why would that be? Oh. Derp. Because I am being an idiot, right? This is not what I want. I need to change the star position, not the parent position, right? Stars.position.x. Okay. Oh. Yeah, that's just being me and a moron because of the fact that I'm under the gun here a little bit because I got to get ready for my dentist appointment, but that I'm not looking forward to. But there we go. That's more like it, right? There's the Parallax Starfield we wanted to see. Just like it was coded the first time. But what I did here is I created a special renderer for it, renderer game object Starfield. I shouldn't even call it necessarily. It is a renderer, but it's a special kind of renderer that instead of treating every single star as an object and updating every single one individually as part of the game, as with its own individual behavior and all that kind of stuff, instead of what I've done is just kind of combine that into a single game object with a custom component that has a renderer on it, so it's a drawable game component really. That updates and renders every single star. So this should be presumably a much more efficient way of doing this than I was doing prior. Plus, these aren't treated as game objects, so they get taken out of trying to go and filter through and find stuff that's collidable and whether they need to be individually rendered or not. So, yeah, looking for game components in it. So this is knowing the engine, this is a better way to do it for sure. So, well, that's, like I said, I got to get running here. I got about 15 minutes before my wife comes to pick me up. But, so that's what we got through today. You get this nice little Parallax Starfield. You know, we still got our guys shooting around here. Yeah, fun stuff, right? If you didn't know what Parallax was, now you may have an idea what it is and how to implement a basic one. Again, I use the alpha channel to denote distance, so it makes it look farther away. Scale, I tie those together too. Yeah. Well, I'm off to get my tooth drilled out. I don't know if I'll be on streaming for the next few days because apparently it's pretty painful to get a wisdom tooth out, and it might take a while, and I don't know if I'll feel like talking or if I'll be like, "Hi, This is the My Life with the Cow channel, because I've got my tooth out. So, if you like this, please subscribe. Please send me a message or email me. If go to my blog, mylifewiththecode.com. You can hit the contact form there, or leave a comment. And I'm doing this. If you'd like me to cover something specific, or would like to see if I know it, or you want me to just answer questions, anything like that. Hey, this is kind of fun. I really like doing the live streaming thing. So please do. The more the merrier, right? So have a good one. I'm going to stop streaming now.